relax.
Yeah. This episode of Static is brought to you by Red Dirt Brothers Guitars. I'm George Lang, and this is Static. My guest today, Marcy Priest, is a soulful and powerful singer-songwriter from Oklahoma City, whose debut album, Awake, is available now on iTunes and Amazon.com. And if you want to see her live in front of a huge audience, you can see her opening for Cake at D-Fest in Tulsa. This is Marcy Priest.
My dad has always been in the church ministry in some way. And so when I was very little, he was a music minister at a few different churches, and he would haul the whole family on stage. I had two younger brothers. They didn't really enjoy it, but I sure did. And I kind of hogged the mic, you might say. I just started realizing then that I loved to sing, and was forced into piano lessons, like I'm sure a lot of other people you hear. I got to a certain level in piano that I started realizing that I could accompany myself and started singing and playing, and that was much more interesting to me, and didn't realize that it was such a big deal. And so I started singing at like school talent shows, like in the 4th grade, 5th grade, singing and playing, and everyone acted really shocked that that was happening, but to me it was just what I was doing at home. My dad told me that we were going to start a church in Oklahoma City and that we would be moving, and I thought that was a huge joke. And then we actually did it, and I reminded him how miserable I was, but of course, you know, he had a direction he was going, so every night or every day after school, I would just express myself on the piano and write songs and poetry, and so it all began. I always tell him, I'm like, you started this, you know, you traumatizing me actually was for good. I have been saying I was going to make a CD since I was 16 years old, and I was just kept thinking it was going to happen, but I had a personality that there was always going to be a better time to do it because I would write better songs, and then it would be a better outcome. And so I just kept waiting for this like magical moment, and I came to a place where a couple years ago where I just realized, okay, this time has gone by. It's been over 10 years now, and this has got to happen. Actually, a guy I've been working with for the last several years, his name is Trent Austin, and he leads worship at the church that I sing with him on the weekends. But long before he did that, he was a producer and writer, and actually a drummer in the studio for years for a lot of famous artists. And so I just thought, I wonder if he'd do it, but he's been out of the producing hat. He hasn't put that on in several years. But he came to me and said, okay, if you make this CD, I will produce it. And I thought, oh my gosh, we got the dream team. And all of a sudden it was like 3 months later, we're in the studio and we're recording it, and it's really happening. But it just ended up being an amazing first, CD process, and a long time coming.